Okay, girls, this is lesson 1, chapter 7. We have started chapter 7. And lesson 1 is very short because all you need to know is to look at your shape and determine if there is congruency. See, it is asking you to identify congruency. Now, for you to determine congruency, it means can you map one shape on top of another with a few transformation, and it has to go equally. Just because the shapes are the same does not mean they have identity congruency. Now let's look here. You see this triangle, the yellow one? We want to map it on top of the blue one. So which transformations am I going to do? Am I going to do translation, reflection, rotation, or dilation? One, for you to be congruent, you cannot do dilation. Congruency only happens with rotation, translation, and reflection, because during dilation, the size of the shape changes. So for you to be congruent, you have to be the same shape, same size, same orientation. Okay? So, we do here. So we are doing lesson 1, chapter 7. And we have said, in this lesson, congruency, identity congruency, means you have to be same shape, same size. Okay? Alright. Now, let us look here. And we have said we cannot use dilation. We can't use dilation because the size of pre-image is not the same as the image. Okay? So, which transformations will we use? We will only use rotation, translation, and reflection. Okay? These are the only transformations we will use in this lesson. So now let's look here. I want the yellow triangle to come to the blue triangle. I will reflect. So when I reflect, it will look like this. So this will be C, this will be B, and this will be A. After I reflect, I need to move it down to come here. Because when I reflect, it will be somewhere around here, to be opposite here. My mirror line will be here in the middle. This will be my mirror line, my y-axis. So I reflect across the y-axis, and then I will translate it left and then down for it to come to the blue shape. And you can see that's what they did. They reflected, and then they translated it down. Okay? So that the yellow comes directly on top of the blue. Now, when you see this shape, you might think reflection, sir? But this box is down and this is up. So this is not reflection. Because here the box is down, here the box is up. Now, if you say, okay, I will turn, I will rotate it, still, even if you rotate, it will still not come. So that is why, even if the figure is translated up and then over, it will not match. There is no way these two will match. Okay? Whether you rotate, you reflect, or you translate. this will not be exactly like this. Now let's look at this example. You need to think, how can you map A into B or B into A? I can say I can reflect B and then translate it. Or I can reflect A across the x-axis and then translate it. If I do this, this shape does not look like this. So it doesn't matter what I will do. It cannot be matched, whether I translate or reflect or rotate. So here I can reflect and translate. On this one, it doesn't matter. Now, determine the transformations. If you have two congruent figures, you can determine the transformation or series of transformation. Series of transformation means you've done either all or two. Series means more than one. So that means you've done either rotation and translation, or you've done rotation, translation, reflection together. So that makes it a series, okay? So that you map one figure on top of the other. So here, I reflect and then I translate. So those are two. That is why it's called a series. So if you have two congruent figures, you can determine the transformation or series of transformations that maps one figure onto the other by analyzing the orientation or relative position of the figures. So during translation, the size and the length stay the same, the orientation stays the same. During reflection, the length stays the same, but the orientation is reversed. See? The orientation, for you to be the same, this triangle should have faced this way. But because it is facing the opposite way, that is why we are saying the orientation is reversed. Here, the length is the same, the size is the same, the shape is the same. And the orientation is the same. B is still on the top. If I return this, it will still face the same way. It's not like I am changing, okay? So orientation is the same during rotation and translation. Orientation is reversed during reflection, okay? Now, let us see how to map D to P. I will rotate. So if I rotate the D, it will look like P, okay? And I will rotate 180 degrees. Read this one to make sure you understand very well what is orientation. And see how they change the picture. Okay? And that's it for lesson 1. And you do this. Okay? All right, let's look at lesson 2. I'll do another video.